you know, my left ankle's still completely paralysed. Yeah, so I have no proprioception on my left at all. When I went into A&E the next day, the nurse asked me if I'd fallen off my mountain bike. I tend to find that when I'm training, when I'm at home, like, none of it's like the most scientific. It's just a really, really nice, like, steady state run today. Yeah, nothing special, just some Ks. So just building on a nice, pretty much exactly the same as what I did yesterday, to be honest. So pretty boring, pretty standard, but you know, it's all mileage today. Yeah, look, ease into it just by moving. You know, like static stretching is not particularly helpful. And then by the time you do something of that length, you know, you don't really want to be wasting more energy by doing something different. So yeah, just do the first 6 or 10k a bit slower. I suspect that for the entirety of the 50 days that we're running, I suspect going off like a rocket is not going to be a danger for me. I was quite good at dips, and could do like strict ring dips, but like, yeah, shoulder's fucked at the minute, and it's like, it's in that really annoying phase where it's like, it's getting stronger, but it still aches, and it's still quite unstable. Right. So doing stuff with rings and that, it's like, all the little muscles are nowhere near strong enough at the minute. And it was just like, oh Jesus, I'm so fucking weak. I did the Ultra Trail Snowdonia, I only did the 25k. It was literally just to get one qualifying point for UTMB. And it's coming down. So the course for that race is literally like 9k's up to the top of Snowdon. And then you come down, you do a little loop, and that's your lot. And yeah, literally, mate, coming down about 13k's in, just I snapped a pole, and mate, I hit the deck harder than I have ever decked out, including on skis. Like, when I went into A&E the next day, the nurse asked me if I'd fallen off my mountain bike. Like, mate, literally the whole of my chest from here to like below the nipple was like black. It was honking, and like, fortunately I didn't break anything, but I fucking should have done. Like, it was gopping. Brand spankers.
First time?
Yeah, I mean, third pair of them I've had, but they are a brilliant shoe. They are a little bit lighter, a little bit less, they're basically calibrated for like slightly longer distances. They're a little bit stiffer, so you get a little bit more ground feel. They've got an 8mm heel to toe as opposed to a 6, and they're generally just like, they're sort of a, from my point of view, these shoes are like the perfect compromise between sort of performance and comfort. You know, they're from my point of view as an elite runner, basically, they're like the perfect training shoe. Basically, you can just put miles and miles and miles into them, and they last, they don't wear out. You're not going to injure yourself in them, but they're still light enough to be, you know, very achievable over long distances. Mate, I can't get over how good this weather is. Absolutely essence. Because the challenge is going to be like very much zone 2, don't really care how quickly we're running to a certain extent, and it's not a competition, it's not a race, so primarily you don't need to be quick. But there's the recovery maximization, but there's also the kind of more simplistic factor that, like, if you can do, you know, a marathon in 6 hours and your average heart rate's 140 compared to doing it in the same amount of time with an average heart rate of 130, like there is a muscular economy there and an efficiency that basically means you're not having to work as hard. Like from an energetic perspective, you're doing the same amount of work, but your body's not having to output as much to achieve it. Yeah. Your calorific burn and that's going to be the same, but in terms of like, again, central nervous system fatigue, general muscular fatigue, etc., you'll be doing a lot less and getting the same output. So, it's basically the equivalent of being able to doing 60 miles an hour in 4th gear as opposed to doing it in 5th. That's where the sort of, zone 4 threshold, zone 5 interval training really comes into its own. The thing with the zone 2 base is that what it doesn't do, and you'll often hear trail runners referring to it in these terms, is it doesn't give you gears. It's the ability to just plod. But like to get more efficient, more economical and stuff, you're going to have to do a hell of a lot of zone 2. Whereas if you threw in some threshold training and maybe a bit of top end stuff with sprints, like around here, just do hill sprints, plenty of fucking hills. Like all of that kind of stuff is going to get you more efficient quicker. So it is literally a more efficient way of training more efficiently. But as with any of this stuff, the trade-off is CNS fatigue. You will do a very, very small portion of your training at race pace, and that is literally so you know what it feels like. But you will do an incredibly limited block of that. Oh, perfect. You'll do an incredibly limited block of that. Because obviously the whole point of training is to make your race pace faster. So if you're training at race pace too early, you're training something that, by race day has become irrelevant anyway, if that makes sense. So like physiologically, it's not really a very sensible place to train. Whereas, anyone that's done a threshold session knows like how disgusting they are. Like they are honking. It's the one session, like when I was racing and doing them, on the weekly, it's the one session that, you have to force yourself into the gym to do, because they're just grim. But like, that's where seasons are made or lost. Fortunately for me, don't need to really worry about it anymore. But like, it's also the thing I like about like this kind of training. Whilst I tend to keep a pretty steady pace, and like I will be in zone 2 most of the time, so I'll be keeping my heart rate somewhere between 120 and 140, maybe up to 145 on the normal, because for me, because of the injury, heart rate is a factor which is not as easily calculated as previously, in the sense that because of like basically the muscular inefficiencies around my injury, heart rate zones mean different things. There's a whole variety of nuance to my injured side, which no one really understands. There's not a lot of clear science on it, and so basically a lot of the stuff that I do is kind of best guess, and they're educated guesses, but you're still guessing. When I did the Snowdon race, I think I was first in my category at the top of Snowdon, because it was literally just up the whole way. So it's just like, basically, if you're good at like yomping big hills, then you're laughing. To be fair, I mean, the 25k, like, you're not going to get huge. I think, to be fair, I think actually the bloke that won that race was extremely fast. But you know, like all the serious runners were in the 100k or 100 miler. Like Matthew Blanchard was in the 100k. So like some serious names. But like, yeah, so like going up for me is a big leveler compared to going down. You know, going down I'll lose most of my time. Flats, obviously I'm just fucking slow. But yeah, it's annoying as well though, because obviously going up quickly is just super unpleasant. It's just like, oh shit, why couldn't I have been good at going down? You know, my left ankle's still completely paralysed. Yeah, so I have no proprioception on my left at all. So like, yeah, if I don't land flat, my ankle's rolling. So doing stuff like this is why I have to do so much of it, because you have to think about every step you take. So like in a very literal sense. So like, yeah, if I'm not concentrating on where I'm putting my foot, I'll roll my ankle. So I have to be very careful about like actively not switching off too much. You can still cruise to a certain extent because your body, you know, like with anything, does get the hang of it. But particularly on technical sections, like, you know, a lot of the time I'll just be reduced to a walk on like a technical downhill because it's just too dangerous to move any quicker. Oh, look at that. On the schnoz. Mate, I tell you what, 147, given that I've changed my fucking shoes 3 times, it's not bad going. I tell you exactly, I've had 3 cups of coffee, bacon, eggs, toast for like brunch. Did I have breakfast today? No breakfast today. And probably about 1.5 litres of water. I tend to find that when I'm training, when I'm at home, like none of it's like the most scientific, but it's kind of like, I think, you know, like people will hear that and be like, bacon and eggs, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like he's just, and like appreciating I'm not helping in the sense that I am basically just some fat Brit. But like it's like couldn't have bucked a stereotype any less. Look at it when you break it down, like it's all, you know, it's all from the local butcher, it's all good stuff. You know, that is basically, you know, like whole grain bread, like it's complex carbohydrate, egg, great source of fat, great source of protein, bacon, great source of protein when it comes from a, you know, decent shop, etc. Like as much as people will hate to admit it, it is basically actually quite a macronutriently balanced diet. You know, like I'll have some more meat and a load of vegetables for dinner tonight. Like I probably won't eat any carbohydrate for the rest of the day. And drink loads of water, but like, you know, I think it's not massively complicated really, and it, you know, I'm very used to eating like that type of food, like basically meat, vegetables, bit of carbohydrate when I fancy it. I fucking love bread. It's that thing of like you fuel yourself on what you're used to, and you get used to like whatever, and like, you know, it's sort of, yeah, like my standard race day, like race night meal is spaghetti carbonara, which is basically bacon and eggs but on pasta rather than toast. You know, it's like it's like, well, whatever works, fuck it, it'll be alright. Like, it's got me, yeah, you know, whatever gets you to the party, innit? Because I've been doing long distance stuff for a long time, like you get very familiar, and actually a big part of the training effect of nutrition for me is about learning or teaching your body to be more efficient in a calorie deprived environment. So it's like if your body's pulling from itself more effectively for energy, you'll be able to go for longer without, you know, the famous like hitting the wall. Yeah. That's just people's bodies running out of glycogen. Yeah. I don't get that anymore at all. Like it's just because I've been doing this for so long that it doesn't, my body's just like, yeah, this is how we always do it, so fine. But for me as an endurance athlete, that's what you want, you know. And like I think, yeah, it's just one of those things. Like I I eat healthily on the whole. Like I never eat ready meals. Like I always eat like, or certainly when I'm at home and when I'm not traveling and just having to grab whatever, like I always eat like whole foods, as you know, as near from like the farm as I can get them, basically. So like you're getting complete like vitamin and mineral profiles and everything. Nothing's particularly heavily processed, etc. And I just think that like, yeah, for my money, that's how I like eating, and so that's how I eat. And it makes the whole thing, you know, it's not a diet, it's just how you exist. So it's like, yeah, perfect. And yeah, fuck it. I like bacon and eggs, so I'm going to eat that as well. Put it this way, if you're having to change stuff, like either before or during or after an event, you're not, like, either the conditions of the event are dictating that you have to. So like like when I was on Antarctica, like you ain't taking fresh food with you. But like, you know, even the, you know, the meals that I took, the reason I got on with them so well is because it was like, you know, like chicken Asian noodles, like cottage pie. You know, it's just like flavours and stuff that you're familiar with.
Yeah.
And so I think that like keeping it, basically I think the more consistent you can keep it across the entire piece, the better. Because you're not, your body's just then like, yeah, fine, I'm not doing anything different. Like, you know, there's nothing for it to like kick against. So it's just like, yeah, cool, we just crack on.
One less variable to...
Dude, exactly.
to adapt.
Yeah, mate, exactly. Like, why would you want GI issues and stuff when you don't need them? You know, like, yeah, fine, I'm just going to do everything similar. Like, yeah, I'm going to eat Haribo and flapjack and that when I'm on the trail instead of trying to use gels and shit, because gels are fucking minging. And they're like just basically raw processed sugar. It's like, nah, bollocks that. Just give me like, yeah, Haribo Star Mix. If it gets you through Sandhurst, mate, it's good enough to get you through anything.